Afternoon, welcome to Kenilworth Road, where Norwich's pre-season has moved up a gear with a 5-1 win here over Luton. Championship new boys, of course, won the League One title last year, and they are very close to the opening day of the season, which is on Friday for them. So that may explain why perhaps they were a little bit reticent in the tackle during the game today. I thought they looked a bit more League One than Championship, so maybe we didn't see the best of them today, but Norwich made the most of it, and they were very clinical with how they performed. I guess the Brentford game on Wednesday, which I wasn't at, played a part in this. They probably had a point to prove, losing 3-1 to a Championship team. Even though it's pre-season, you don't want it, do you? So I think that probably fired Norwich up a little bit for this one, and they were 3-0 up just after the half-hour mark. 30. I can't remember the time exactly. Well, it was 4-1 in the 35th minute, so there were plenty of goals in this one. It did finish 5-1. Josip Dermich has scored a hat-trick for Norwich. Patrick Roberts scored the final goal, which was really nice strike, actually, and Marcus Diekman opened the scoring as well. So just to quickly whip through things, no Timu Pukki, although we've just spoken to Daniel Farke, and he's not worried about that. It's just this toe issue which he's had in pre-season, resting him, not taking any risks with your star striker, although it helps when your summer signing scores a hat-trick as well. And Emi Buendia, and there was the open training session at Canaries Road Friday afternoon. Buendia just got a bit of a knock to that ankle that he's had a bit of problem with in pre-season, so they just protected him today. Daniel didn't seem concerned. I think we will hopefully see them again in pre-season before Liverpool, if not against Atalanta at Canaries Road on Tuesday, then in the second home friendly, which is against Toulouse next Saturday. So the team was Tim Krul in goal, Aaronson Lewis at full-back, Hanley in close to central defence, Kenny McLean and Tom Tribal central midfield, although McLean was able to push on quite a bit, and it was more of a 4-1-4-1, certainly in attack. Todd Cantwell on the left, Patrick Roberts on the right, Marcus Diekman just behind Dermich. It was only a few minutes and Norwich were in the lead. Diekman turned in at the back post after McLean flicked on a Patrick Roberts corner. Then Dermich got his first. That came from some really lovely work just down this wing behind me here. Max Aarons exchanging 1-2 with Todd Cantwell. Lovely little back flick from Todd back to Max near the byline. He cut the cross back, and Dermich had a fairly easy one to turn in. Now, excuse me, I think I'm getting these two the right way around, but I might have got them in because there were 5 goals. The third goal for Norwich, Dermich's second, also came from a corner from Roberts, and Dermich looped a lovely header over the keeper, which is Simon Sluga, Croatia international, who was linked with Norwich earlier this summer before Ralph Farman was signed from Schalke. He is Luton's record signing, £1.5 million, so that's a fair bit of ambition for them, but I didn't think he looked great, so maybe a bullet dodged, I don't know. I think Luton were a bit off the pace today. Anyway, that was a lovely goal. Daniel Farke was very impressed with that one, as a former striker himself, of course. And then Luton equalised. It was a free kick from, that was the end, that there was 600 Norwich fans sat, which is quite impressive for a pre-season friendly. Dan Potts headed in from a free kick that was whipped in from the left. Apparently there was a bit of a hint of handball to it, couldn't really tell from where we were sat, but his header was saved by Krul, and the ball dropped kindly for him, and he put it into the back of the net from close range. But that just sparked Norwich further. They countered very quickly. Roberts slipped Todd Cantwell through. On that occasion, Sluga did impress. He made the right decision, got down low to deny Cantwell's shot. Todd's desperate for a goal, but he was very bright today. I think he's going to be pleased with the way things are warming up for him in pre-season in general. And the rebound fell to Dermich, and he just sort of, on the half volley almost, a little scissor kick into the back of the open net, and that was 4-1 before half time. And then Patrick Roberts weighed in with a lovely finish to make it 5-1 10 minutes into the second half. Cut in from the right onto his left foot about 25 yards out, and just curled it beyond Sluga into the sort of far side netting of that net in front of the Norwich fans. So unfortunately that's the only goal they saw at their end, but it was well worth the wait. And Norwich were generally on top in this game overall, as you would hope as a Premier League team who are now getting pretty close to that opening night at Liverpool. I'm hoping I'm going to get this done before those lawnmowers get any closer, because they are gradually working their way closer and closer. And as you'll know from the video reports with Michael and myself over the last few years, there's always lawnmowers around. So yeah, a good run out for Norwich, and it's on to Atalanta on Tuesday. Still no Mario Vrancic, Alex Tessie, Christoph Zimmermann. Daniel has just said after the game that he only thinks Zimmermann will be out for 2 to 3 games of the season, so he's not too worried about that. Doesn't think there's any pressure on them to worry about the transfer market especially, but that doesn't mean they won't do anything. That, as is sort of one of Daniel's favourite phrases, they will always be awake. So can't rule anything out. The Tetty situation may just be a little bit worried. Do they need another defensive midfielder into that mix? They've still got that one domestic loan slot, one taken up by Patrick Roberts, but there is still they still can bring in one other player from a club in the UK, or I should say England and Wales really. Spoke to Roberts after the game as well. He's really warming up to life as a Norwich player, really enjoying it. There was actually a nice moment in the second half. You may remember from the Schalke game in Germany, which I think there was a stream of, so you may have seen. Schalke scored their goal breaking away from a corner, and it was Roberts who sort of let his marker get away from him in the centre circle, and that left Lewis and Aarons exposed, and Schalke then scored. That happened again today. Luton broke from a Norwich corner, but Roberts made sure this time. He'd learned his lesson, made sure to stop his man. I'd imagine Daniel Farkel was pleased with that one. Roberts didn't want to go on about it too much, because I guess he wouldn't want to sort of acknowledge the mistake in the other game, but you could tell he was pleased with it. He's learnt that lesson, and did talk to him about the difference that it's going to be for him in terms of playing for Celtic, so dominant up there. He had great success up there, but the Premier League with Norwich freshly promoted is going to be a very, very different challenge, and he did acknowledge that. So some good stuff coming from Patrick Roberts, and I think that's just about everything from Kenilworth Road. But I will just finish on, you may have seen on social media that we've had a couple of changes internally. My longtime colleague, Mr. Michael Bailey, who you all know from these video verdicts, is moving on. His nearly 12 years, I think it was, with the EDP has come to an end. He finished yesterday, and we had a sort of summer party last night, and we were able to have a couple of beers and a chat as he heads off. I'm sure he won't be too far away, but you'll have to wait and see what Michael's next challenge is. That's for him to share with people. But from my point of view, it means a change. Paddy remains our top man, of course, group football editor. Paddy's been doing this job for quite a while now, and we all know how good Paddy is, but I'm very proudly taking on a new title of Chief Norwich City reporter for the EDP and Evening News. So it means I'll be working even closer with Paddy. Hopefully we'll have another person joining us, so that we'll be back up to a 3-man reporting team at games, but we'll have to see how things work out on that front. So a little bit of change for us. Clearly I've been doing home and away for 2 seasons anyway, so not too much of a change from me, but a title that I'm really pleased to be taking on, and doing these video verdicts will probably be a pretty regular occurrence during the season. So bear with me while I get up to speed. Michael did have quite a bit of practice at it, and of course was pretty good at it by the time he signed off from the EDP. So I'll leave it there. Head over to Twitter, to mine and Michael's Twitter accounts, if you want to get sort of the full story on all that. But for now, I think I'll wrap it there. It's finished 5-1 to Norwich here. It's on to Canaries Road on Tuesday to face Atalanta, who qualified for the Champions League in Serie A last year. So that's going to be a really tough game, and we'll have to see whether Team Puki and Emi Buendia are back in the mix then.